Welcome to News Edge, your sharpest source for daily headlines and deep dives. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. A new wave of economic tension is rolling across the Canada-US border, stirring uncertainty and concern among businesses and policymakers on both sides. The border, usually a symbol of cooperation and commerce, is now at the center of a growing dispute that could reshape the economic landscape for years to come. Former President Donald Trump has announced fresh tariffs on select imports, sending shockwaves through Canadian industries. These tariffs target key sectors from steel and aluminum to agricultural products and have the potential to disrupt established trade flows that millions of jobs depend on. The announcement has already triggered a flurry of emergency meetings among Canadian business leaders and government officials, all scrambling to assess the immediate impact. For Canada, this is a familiar challenge, one that threatens supply chains and injects uncertainty into cross-border business. Factories that rely on American parts now face delays and higher costs, while exporters worry about losing access to their largest market. The ripple effects are being felt in small towns and big cities alike, as companies brace for possible layoffs and reduced investment. The US is Canada's largest trading partner, so any shift in American trade policy has immediate consequences. Every year, hundreds of billions of dollars in goods and services cross the border, supporting countless jobs and livelihoods. Even a small disruption can have outsized effects, making stability in this relationship crucial for both nations. The Canadian government now faces a delicate balancing act: protect national interests without escalating the conflict. Officials are weighing their options, from diplomatic negotiations to targeted countermeasures, all while trying to avoid a full-blown trade war that could harm both economies. The world is watching to see if Canada can respond with both strength and restraint. International observers are keenly interested in how this dispute will play out, as it could set a precedent for future trade conflicts around the globe. The easy path would be retaliation, but that risks a trade war with no winners. History has shown that tit-for-tat tariffs often lead to higher prices for consumers, lost jobs, and damaged relationships that can take years to repair. Instead, this moment demands a cool head and a clear strategic vision for the future. Canada must chart a course that protects its economy, supports its workers, and maintains its vital partnership with the United States, all while demonstrating leadership on the world stage. In response to recent tensions, Canada is choosing calm over confrontation. Rather than reacting impulsively or escalating the situation, Canadian leaders are taking a step back, carefully considering every option before making a move. This measured approach is rooted in a long-standing tradition of diplomacy and level-headedness that has defined Canada's international reputation for decades. Prime Minister Trudeau's team is signaling clearly: Canada won't be rushed into rash decisions no matter the pressure. Behind closed doors, the Prime Minister and his advisors are weighing the potential consequences of every action, determined to avoid any missteps that could escalate the situation further. The government's strategy is patience, deliberately avoiding a trade war that could hurt both economies. Like a chess game, each move is calculated, with officials considering not just the immediate impact, but the long-term effects on Canada's relationship with its largest trading partner. Economic advisors warn that a tit-for-tat response could backfire, risking Canada's crucial access to the US market under CUSMA. The stakes are high. Millions of Canadian jobs depend on smooth cross-border trade, and any disruption could have ripple effects across industries from manufacturing to agriculture. Every move is weighed against the risk of jeopardizing this foundation of economic stability. Policymakers are conducting thorough risk assessments, consulting with industry leaders, and seeking input from experts to ensure that Canada's response is both effective and sustainable. Instead of public threats or heated rhetoric, Canada is engaging in quiet diplomacy and careful analysis. Behind the scenes, diplomats are working tirelessly to open channels of communication, build consensus, and find common ground with their American counterparts. The goal is clear: solve the problem, not win a shouting match. Canadian officials believe that real solutions come from dialogue and cooperation, not from public displays of anger or bravado. Most Canadian goods still cross the border tariff-free, and the priority is to keep it that way. Maintaining this flow is essential for businesses on both sides, and Canada is committed to protecting this vital economic lifeline. By staying professional and measured, Canada aims to show it's a reliable partner, even under pressure. This approach not only reassures Canadian citizens and businesses, but also sends a message to international observers about Canada's commitment to stability and cooperation. Ultimately, this approach is about safeguarding the nation's economic well-being in uncertain times. By prioritizing stability, open communication, and thoughtful decision-making, Canada hopes to weather the storm and emerge even stronger on the other side. To understand Canada's restraint, look to CUSMA, the backbone of North American trade. CUSMA ensures most Canadian goods enter the US tariff-free, supporting millions of jobs. Even with new tariffs, Canada's overall rate remains low thanks to CUSMA's protections. Without it, Canadian exports would face steep barriers, losing their competitive edge. The timing is critical. CUSMA faces a major review in 2026. How Canada handles this dispute will shape those negotiations. A misstep now could have lasting consequences. The government's every move is aimed at entering the review from a position of strength. Preserving CUSMA's benefits is Canada's top economic priority. Business leaders and economists across Canada agree, don't retaliate. Immediate tariffs on US goods could spiral into a trade war, one Canada is unlikely to win. The main goal is to protect the 93% of Canadian exports that remain tariff-free under CUSMA. Retaliation risks giving the US an excuse to expand tariffs, endangering even more trade. Instead, experts urge diplomacy, building alliances with US lawmakers and businesses who also want stable trade. The message tariffs hurt both sides, and stability benefits everyone. By showing restraint, Canada keeps the moral high ground and focuses on real solutions. This isn't weakness, it's strategic thinking. The government is channeling its energy into dialogue, not escalation. The patient approach is about protecting long-term prosperity, not short-term satisfaction. Many analysts interpret President Trump's tariffs not simply as punitive measures, but as a calculated negotiating tactic, especially with the 2026 CUSMA review looming on the horizon. These tariffs, targeting key Canadian exports, are seen as a way to set the stage for future discussions, signaling to Canada and other trading partners that the US is willing to play hardball to secure more favorable terms. By applying economic pressure now, the US administration hopes to gain significant leverage, making it more likely that Canada will offer concessions when the time comes to renegotiate the agreement. This approach is not new in international trade. Using tariffs as bargaining chips is a classic strategy to unsettle the other side and shift the balance of power at the negotiating table. The timing of these tariffs is crucial. Rather than being a simple reaction to a trade dispute, they appear carefully timed to influence the tone and content of the upcoming CUSMA review. The message is clear: the US wants to shape the agenda and set the terms of debate well in advance. Recognizing this, Canadian officials are treading carefully. They understand the risks of reacting impulsively to US provocations. Instead of escalating tensions, Canada is focused on maintaining a steady strategic approach. Aggressive retaliation, while emotionally satisfying, could quickly spiral into a trade war, harming both economies and distracting from the real issues at stake. Canada knows that a measured response is more likely to yield positive results in the long run. Instead, Canada is using this period to prepare thoroughly for the CUSMA review. Teams of trade experts and diplomats are analyzing US concerns, gathering data, and developing strategies to defend Canadian interests while remaining open to reasonable compromise. The ultimate goal is to transform what could be a tactical challenge into an opportunity for meaningful, productive dialogue. By staying focused and well-prepared, Canada aims to turn the tables and ensure that the review process benefits both countries. Canada's response is multi-layered, addressing immediate irritants through diplomatic channels, while simultaneously building a robust case for the upcoming review. This dual approach helps manage short-term tensions and positions Canada strongly for the future. Ultimately, it's about seeing the bigger picture, recognizing that trade negotiations are a marathon, not a sprint. By choosing the smartest, most strategic path, Canada is working to protect its economic interests and maintain stability. In this high-stakes game of international trade, Canada is playing for long-term stability and prosperity, not just a quick win. Every move is carefully considered, with the future of North American trade relations hanging in the balance. Despite new tariffs, Canada's economic position remains strong. Thanks to CUSMA, most Canadian goods still enter the US with minimal barriers. This gives Canada a crucial buffer and time to respond strategically. The government isn't forced into desperate moves, it can focus on long-term solutions. While some industries are hit, the core trade relationship is stable. CUSMA acts as a safety net, allowing Canada to absorb shocks without panic. This stability lets Canada pursue trade diversification, reducing reliance on a single market. The current dispute is a reminder of why diversification matters. By managing the US challenge calmly, Canada can strengthen ties with other global partners. The focus remains on a balanced, secure economic future. Canada's top priority is protecting its tariff-free exports to the US, the lifeblood of its economy. 93% of Canadian goods cross the border without tariffs thanks to CUSMA. Any move that risks this access is approached with extreme caution. That's why Canada favors diplomacy over retaliation. Officials are working behind the scenes to remind US leaders of the mutual benefits of open trade. The message stability is a win-win. Canada's strategy is an active defense of its most vital interest. The guiding star: keep tariff-free trade intact. While protecting the big picture, Canada isn't ignoring industries hit by new tariffs. Sectors like steel, aluminum, and auto parts are getting targeted support. The government is holding focused talks with US officials to address sector-specific issues. At home, it's offering financial aid and programs to help affected businesses adapt. The aim: resolve disputes without escalating the conflict. This dual approach defends CUSMA while helping vulnerable industries. Canada is showing it can address both the big picture and the details. The strategy is targeted, holistic, and pragmatic. Canada's path forward is clear: prioritize long-term stability with the US. The government is avoiding knee-jerk reactions that could spark a trade war. Instead, it's focused on steady, patient negotiation. Intensive talks are planned at all levels, including the upcoming CUSMA review. Open communication is key to resolving disputes without lasting damage. Mark Carney's calm, data-driven statements reflect Canada's refusal to panic. The message: Canada is confident, prepared, and committed to stability. The government's masterclass in strategic patience is about protecting CUSMA's benefits and using diplomacy to address issues. By standing firm but avoiding escalation, Canada aims to manage US pressure effectively. The chosen path: careful negotiation for a stable, prosperous future with its most important ally.